hello, and cheers to this morning or whatever time it is that you're listening or watching this. I am Trina Boyd. I'm back with another episode of Coffee and Business Talk. So, on today's episode, I'm going to be very transparent about my journey as a small business owner. And this God have actually led me to tell you this particular story, what happened to me. Um, couple years ago, I would say about 3 or 4 years ago, what happened to me and how God allowed me to increase my spiritual discernment as pertains to dealing with people and women. So I'm just going to get right into it, y'all. Let me get a sip of my coffee. Hopefully, you have your coffee or your tea, and we're going to get right into it. Okay. All right. So I want to talk with you briefly about today. I know I talked with you all about what my podcast will be about, and I also talked to you all about what my YouTube channel is going to be about. But one of the things I teach on is grant writing. I teach on government contracting and business credit, right? So that's what I teach on. But sometimes I will gear off to give you some spiritual insight on what God has taught me through this entrepreneur journey and how He taught me and increased me on my spiritual discernment. Okay. So, and I want to say that none of us have arrived yet. Okay. Nobody's perfect. So I would say this was during the pandemic. So about 3 or 4 years ago, I was actually, it was during the pandemic. I was actually, I met this young lady. I met her, I would say I met her in 2017. I met her when I first moved to Charlotte. And when I first moved to Charlotte, I was not where I'm currently am spiritually. So I want to just put that disclaimer out. I was a Christian. I basically grew up in the church, but I grew up in a church where it was a Baptist church, but I grew up in a church where they didn't teach us about, you know, the spirit world or spiritual discernment or the gifts of the spirit and all that stuff, right? They didn't teach us any of that. So I got baptized and became a Christian at 6 years old. That's something that I wanted to do. That was my decision at 6 years old. But as I got older, I don't know if you all know my story, but as I got older, I actually started to gear away from God. So one of the things I'm very transparent about in my journey with Christ is when I turned 18, I started um, becoming and doing things that was of the world. So at 16, I started drinking alcohol. So that was the first generational curse that the devil was trying to put on me, which that's completely done now. But at 16, I had my first alcoholic drink. And then at 18, I started working at a strip club. I did that for a couple years. And one of the things that God did, He delivered me from those things. So He delivered me from alcohol. He delivered me from stripping in the strip club. These are the things that God has brought me out of. A lot of people, when I tell them that that's what I used to do, they don't believe me at all. Taking a sip of my coffee. So they don't believe me at all when I tell them that, but it's the truth. So when we moved to Charlotte, me and my husband, we moved to Charlotte. And like I said, my gift wasn't as strong as it is right now. So I met this young lady, and I met her in an environment that was not holy, just to say that. It wasn't a holy environment. But I knew her from that time, 2016, 2017, when I first moved to Charlotte. So we never like stopped talking because she was in Charlotte. She had just moved to Charlotte and she was trying to build her business. And I had just started Women in Power. And so we kept in communication. She did work for me. I did want to say that she worked for me through my babysitting agency. So she was a babysitter, but she also did hair. So she did my hair as well. So I was like, okay, I know some things that she was going through as a single mother. So I kind of understood her from that perspective and wanted to help her, of course. But as the years went on, like I said, in 2021, um, we actually, during the pandemic, we decided that she needed help with marketing her business. So she needed help social media marketing. I had just started my marketing agency, me and my husband, on social media, teaching or actually marketing for other companies. So she needed help promoting her business. And at that time during the pandemic, y'all know during the pandemic, no hair salons was open. Like you couldn't get your nails done nowhere, right? So we decided let's barter. One of the things God is doing right now and want me to do with Women in Power is to have the ladies start bartering. So what is bartering? If you don't know what bartering is, you are basically exchanging services or products versus exchanging money. So for example, in this particular situation with her, I was actually we were bartering services. So I would barter, I would do her social media, which my services for social media at that time was like $1,000 a month to run Facebook ads, social media ads, and then also to manage her Facebook and Instagram with scheduling posts. So that's what my services entail. Her services was the beauty industry. Like I said, she did my hair before. I knew her for some years. And so we started doing this service, bartering. And what God revealed to me recently is that I was actually bartering with a witch. I was bartering with a witch, and I didn't even know that because my spiritual discernment at that time was not on a level where I was discerning, oh, this is a witch. This person is a witch. And one of the things God told me, this is why her business did not prosper, even though you were helping her. Because every time, and I'm not trying to toot my own horn, but a lot of times when I'm coaching, it's not coming from me, it's coming from the Holy Spirit. So these things are downloading on, to women as I'm coaching them. But this particular time, I wasn't coaching her, but I was actually um, helping her with marketing. And at that time, I was like, God, why is it not like, why is this not working? Like the marketing, it works and it's not working for her. Like it's not working for her. Like I know marketing. And so what God revealed to me was recently he revealed this to me. You were bartering with a witch. So he took me back to when I was helping her. So she had these little crystals, right? She had little crystals that she was selling on her jewelry. Some other women were drawn to that, not my members, but just people that she was selling them to. But she wasn't selling a lot of them because it was not of God. Those crystals, but God reminded me, hey, she was a witch that you were bartering with. That's why I did not prosper that relationship. I did not prosper that bartering ship, right? Because I was doing the marketing for her, and she was mailing me wigs for during the pandemic because I didn't want to look crazy. So I was still doing Zooms. But yeah, that's what God revealed to me. Like she was a witch. And one of the things I noticed about her is that she will always be depressed. She will always be negative. Um, and I did not discern that at the time that I was dealing with the witches because she was, even though she was like negative, I didn't really talk to her like on that on a regular basis, but she was negative. She was always depressed. You can tell that she was depressed. She would never, like her business was not prospering at all. Like she was not doing good. Um, but I had a heart for her because I have a heart for women in general because she was a single mother and I kind of saw everything she was going through, but she was not prospering. And God did not prosper our relationship because she was a witch. So you just have to be careful when you are dealing with people and doing business with people. You have to make sure that you're not doing business with demons. You're not doing business with witches because that's really, really important. I remember my like just being new, um, like new with Women in Power and start Women in Power, and I encountered a lot of witches. I didn't even know I was dealing with witches. It just seemed off to me when I would, like, stuff they would post. Like, for example, I have a Facebook page. On that particular Facebook page, of course, women can post on there, but one particular woman in particular, she would post universe stuff. So we know that's new age. That is not of God. I do want to say that. New age is not of God. The universe is not of God. You praying to the universe is not of God. So she was saying stuff like the universe, this, the universe, that. Okay. I was just off. And then when she would post it, because it was a Christian group, some women would just, like, they would report the post. I'm like, why are they reporting this post? I know this lady. But you see how the enemy works. Just because you know someone does not mean that they, are excluded from being a witch or whatever, right? I even had this lady speak at my brunch. I even had this lady speak at my brunch. I had to get a sip of my coffee, y'all, because look, I don't want it to go get cold. I had this lady speak at my brunch, y'all, and I didn't even know that she was a witch until I just started seeing patterns and stuff. So at that time, when I saw that, she jeopardized some stuff with my space that I had, a free space with a local organization. It's just like little stuff that she was doing because she seemed like she was a nice person, which she probably is a nice person, but she was a witch. So these are just my encounters with dealing with witches at that time, being new to the women in power space. Of course, I'm dealing with women. I'm going to encounter witches. But God uses me. God has been allowing to use me to help them. So one of the things he is building me up with with women in power and dealing with women is that one thing he assured me that witches have no authority, no power over me. He showed me in multiple dreams, not just one, because one thing about God, he shows me things in my dreams, but he has showed me in multiple dreams how the authority and power that I have over them. So basically, at one point, what God showed me in a dream, and he warned me because I had an event the next day. And in this particular dream, it was like I was in like a gym, and the witches, it was like three or four witches trying to come. They was trying to come at me, like trying to come at me. I don't know if they was casting spells or what. It was just like they was trying to attack me. That's what it looked like. So in the particular dream, I lift my hand up like this. And as I lift my hand up, the witches just start falling to the ground. They just this dropping. So in that particular moment, God was speaking to me and telling me, hey, you have authority over them. They can't touch you. First of all, one thing about the enemy, he has to have a opening, right? He has to have an opening. The devil does not have an opening with me. But with that being said, he showed me on several occasions where they cannot touch me. I even had a young lady come into my class. I think she was being introduced to it, and she didn't know that she was being introduced to witchcraft. And so she started asking me, she was like, Trina, what do you think about this? Manifesting, like stuff like that. That is not of God. If you read the Bible, I had one lady, I knew she was a witch. I told it to her face. I said, manifesting is not of God. Okay. I said, where in the Bible does it say that you are manifesting anything? We don't do anything out of our own power. We don't do anything out of our own power. God manifests himself in us, but we're not doing it. So when you're talking about you're doing something, that is not of God. That is witchcraft. So, and when I tell her, I said, manifestation, like you trying to manifest stuff, is witchcraft. So one of the things God was dealing with me at one point was I was every day I would say my confessions, right? Faithfully. And nothing would happen. I was like, what is going on? I'm saying my confessions 3 times a day, nothing's happening, right? And so later, when God showed up, he showed up on his, because I stopped saying the confessions. I was like, it ain't working. Right. and it wasn't scriptural. I think I actually got the confessions from a witch. I didn't even know she was a witch until like last year, right? So now that God just revealed this to me as I'm talking to you, because the young lady, I'm not gonna say her name, but the young lady, she was a multimillionaire multiple times, being a multimillionaire, and at that particular time, she had a CD that she would say her daily confessions. They were affirmations or whatever. And so now that I'm thinking about, this is why it wasn't working, because I got the confessions from an actual witch, and I didn't even know she was a witch until God revealed to me. He was like, "Look at this, look at that." He even showed me a dream about her, and I tried to reach out to her just to warn her of certain things. But yeah, she burned sage. It's just little stuff that I even stopped following her. But with that being said, I see why it didn't work. But also, God was speaking to me. He was saying, okay, you cannot do everything in your own strength. You have to allow me to do things, because you can do things in your own strength, but it's not going to be as great if I'm doing it. All right. So, with that being said, we just have to be careful, because some people don't even look like witches. I mean, sometimes, you think this person is, a Christian. And one thing I'm learning is a lot of Christians are witches. They operate in witchcraft, knowingly or unknowingly. One thing God was telling me is that a lot of them don't even know they operate in witchcraft. So you have to let them know. And so that's what he's been doing. Let me drink some more coffee, y'all. hmm That's what he has been letting me know, is that they don't know, and you need to tell them. Okay. So with that being said, I'm not gonna say I'm called to that, but if God, if I encounter a witch and I know she's a witch, or if I know her personally, I will let her know, like pull her to the side and say, "Hey, what you're doing is not of God. It's witchcraft. This is this." And I've done that before, because I'm not afraid or ashamed. And a lot of times with a lot of the women that I know, if they're operating witchcraft, they respect me enough to respect what I'm telling them, versus just, oh, whatever. And so that's what I have been doing. But yeah, I'll tell you one last story, and then I'm going to hop off. So another story, when I encountered, was a young lady. I was helping her in her business, and I had been helping her. I've been knowing her a long time. When I tell you I've been knowing her a long, long, long time. And she had started posting things on her Facebook. She was posting things on her Facebook, and she was posting like she's manifesting and stuff like that. And so one thing she kept doing, she kept getting pregnant, and she kept having miscarriages. That's what she did. She kept getting pregnant and she kept having miscarriages. I was like, wow. And so God revealed some things to me about her business. He told me her business was going to go down because of her witchcraft, unknowingly operating. She was a Christian. Like she believed in God. And you knew she did, but she was following the wrong people, obviously, with manifesting. So she started trying to manifest babies. She would get pregnant and have miscarriages. So with that being said, I informed her. I said, you cannot be manifesting things that is not of God. And think it's going to prosper, right? So I did tell her that. She respected what I said, and from here on out, I haven't seen her do it anymore. But she was having miscarriage after miscarriage after miscarriage. And then God, at that time allowed, he didn't do it, but he allowed, because the enemy does things. We're not going to put anything on God. God is not doing things. The enemy is doing these things, but God will allow them to happen because you are doing these things, right? So with that being said, this is my story. I'm being transparent about, that part of dealing with women. And yeah, I mean, one thing about it, I can spot, someone. My spiritual discernment is on another level now. Okay, I will say that is on another level when it comes down to discerning people, witches, whatever. Okay. But I just want to highly encourage you to pray about every single thing that you're doing, because the Bible says to pray without ceasing. But also, one of the things that I saw a post yesterday, he said that everything that's not covered in prayer is vulnerable. So that stuck with me. I'm like, we need to be praying about every little thing, even if you're questioning, should I pray? That's when you need to pray. You need to pray. We need to pray for our businesses or for our nonprofits. We need to be praying and seeking God in these things as it pertains to our business. So I highly encourage you to do that in your business. Highly encourage you before you quit that job to seek God. Because people quit their job and they start businesses, and I've never, like, one thing about it, I never tell people to do that, because you still have bills, you still have things that you have to take care of. And one thing, my situation, what happened with me is that I was fired and I had no other choice. But I was like, I'm not going back to a job. I made a decision. I'm not, when I was fired from my job, I'm like, I'm not going back. Because, first of all, it wasn't a lot of money like that. That's number one. Number two, I'm like, well, I can make more money as a business owner doing what I love. So after I was fired, I never looked back. I never worked for another person ever after that. Because if a person can determine how much you make and all of that, no, that's not me. That's not me. So that was over 10 years ago when I made that decision. But like I said, I highly encourage you to pray about those decisions and go from there. But thank you all for listening to this podcast. Thank you for listening on YouTube or wherever you're listening to this. And make sure you are subscribed to my YouTube and my podcast to follow me when I get updates. I will be speaking to you all about things like this, but also educational things that'll help you with your business, grant writing, business credit, and government contracting. March 2024 is my last live virtual class for grant writing. So make sure you sign up for that class if you are a business or if you're a nonprofit. I'm going to post those links. If you are interested in membership is open for Women in Power. I will post that link as well. And I will talk to you all soon.